What's up guys, my name is Johan Lund and today I'm checking out the Crown Amp Sim by AudioSalt. The amp sim is modeled on a Mesa Boogie Triple Crown 100 and it features 3 individual amp channels, switchable power tubes, a 3D cab section and much more. Let's head over to the computer and check it out in detail. Alright, so this is how it looks when you load it up. And first of all, you're faced with the killer GUI of the amp, as always with AudioSalt. And you have a scalable GUI as well, which is really cool to have. But before we dive into the details of the amp, let's see what I got going here on my DAW. I've got the Crown loaded up here on the track, but other than that, I've got no post-processing or pre-processing done in this demo, besides an instance of Flatline from Submission Audio, but that's just for volume control for you guys on the screen recording. So let's load up the amp and start diving in. And the first thing you need to know is that it's a 3 individual channel amp, which is really awesome in this plugin. You set them with this switch here, and that covers all the 3 channels. First, high gain, low gain, and a clean channel. And if you change them, you see that the settings here differs. That's because it's an individual 3-channel amp. So if you set it to clean, you can change the gain and bass, maybe crank some mids, go over to the low gain, and it flips back to how you have set the channel settings on the low gain channels, which is really awesome. Over to the high gain again, and all the settings are at noon. So really cool. And the tight switch here, which I will go through later on, follows this setting here as well. Before we check out the amp in detail, let's see what we got going around the amp. First off, up here is your input level. Here are the pedal section, amp section, cab section, and FX section. Up here is your output level, and here you'll find all your settings, where you have your tuner, the preset folder, MIDI presets, and so forth. Inside the settings menu further in, you'll find your input routing, left, right, or stereo. Your quality, low, mid, high, or max. Graphics is native or OpenGL. And down here you have a double track simulation function, which is really awesome to use if you jam by yourself or writing demos. I'll go through that at the end of the video, so stick around for that. Let's close this down, and down here as well you'll find the presets folder again with a bunch of cool presets that are included, and you can save your own as well here. And down here you have switchable power tubes where you can choose from 6L6s or EL34s, which gives you another option to change the tonal character of the amp. So that's really cool. Alright, so let's check out the pedal section first of all. First off, you have your noise gate, and standard, on and off, and threshold button here. And next up is a really cool clean boost, which basically boosts or cuts the lows and highs and adds some volume. And that's really cool to have in front of an amp and to saturate the tone. And if you use it maybe for low tune guitars, it's really nice to have possibility to shape the tone into the amp. Gives it a bit more bite and a bit more saturation. I'll show you that in a minute. And over here is your classic screamer, tube screamer emulation, with your basic drive, tone, and level knobs. Sounds really good. So let's check out the difference between the booster and the screamer. The amp is set like this on the high gain channel, and all the settings are at noon, and without any boosts or engage, it sounds like this. Yeah, nice crunchy tones there, but let's engage some pedals and see if we can crank the gain some more and give it some more bites. So let's just crank up the lows, highs, and the volume and see what just adding the booster does to the tones. Yeah, definitely adds more body to the tone, more saturation. A bit too much of the lows here, so I'll just back that off and see what we can get out of that one. Maybe add some gain and see what we can get out of it there. More metal maybe. So just by using the booster and cranking some extra gain, you can really get some more metal tones out of it. Alright, so let's compare it to the screamer. And I have it set to the way I normally set the tube screamer in front of the amp. The drive down to 0, a bit of tone added, and the level is cranked to max. So let's back the gain down to 5 again, and let's see how it sounds without the screamer engaged. Let's add the screamer in. Yeah, definitely that adds more bite to the tone and more gain, more drive. Let's turn it off, maybe add a bit of gain. Keep it on and see if we can crank some more. And have it off with some more gain. Yeah, the low end gets a bit flubby. Let's turn it on again and see how it sounds. Yeah, more controlled low end as you would get if you use a tube screamer in front. Let's turn it off and head over to the amp again and check out the tight switch, which is a really cool function, and put it on noon, and without the tight switch you get this tone, which you've heard already. Let's turn on the tight switch. Yeah, more controlled low end with this switch as well. Try to crank the gain, maybe we can get the same tones as if we use the screamer. So let's check it out. Yeah, nice tones there, a lot of low end control, more tight tones basically, and I cranked the gain all the way up almost, and it sounds really cool, controlled, and sounds nice. Let's compare it and back off the gain. Not compare it, but let's add the booster in and see what that does if we use it with the tight switch. This combination I really like in this amp, so let's check out how that sounds. That sounds brutal. I really like it. We can crank up the gain all the way to max and see what we can get out of it. Maybe if we cut some lows, because I thought it was a bit overbearing. So let's check it out. Yeah, kick ass. Let's move on and close down the booster and just check out the rest of the settings. I'm gonna turn off the tight button here and let's just go through and see what we can get here. Let's add some more gain to make it a bit more fun to listen to. First off, the pre and post EQ. Post EQ is basic 3-band EQ with bass, middle, and treble. Bass added like this. Middle. And treble. But if we switch it over to pre, let's see if we can shape the tones into the amp and see how that sounds. Yeah, sounds a bit close to the booster pedal here. Let's turn that on as well and see how that sounds with the settings cranked like this. You can really tell more saturation into the amp here. So let's try and shape it the way that I normally would use an EQ in front of the amp to shape the tones before it hits the power amp. Add some treble, reduce some mids, and crank some bass. If you crank the bass before the amp, you can get a bit more note definition, a bit more chunkiness to the high registry of the guitar. So let's check how that sounds with the booster engaged as well. And I'll turn that off so you see the difference. And the booster off. Let's zero them out. Let's hear how they sound without anything switched. Let's crank it up again, reduce some mids and treble. Yeah, real cool function to have. And then crank the presence and see how that sounds. And next up you have the depth knob, which adds a bit more bass. And the focus knob, which is next up, it's cuts or adds mids in the signal. So let's check that out. Yes, and lastly here is the master volume, which adds more volume, and but also it saturates the tone a bit more. So let's check that out. And the last way to change the tonal character here is to switch between 6L6 or EL34 power tubes. So let's see what difference it makes if we switch it over to the EL34s. Sounds like this. Back over to 6L6s. Yeah, they have a bit different characters to them. It's a real cool way to switch between them and see what tones they can produce for you. Alright, so that's the settings on the amp. Let's head over to the cab section, and here you'll find a 3D cab simulation, which allows you to change the positioning of these two mics individually, and also the different levels on both mics. You have high pass and low pass switch here as well, and you have 3 different cabs to choose from here in the 3D cab simulation stage. First off, 4x12. It looks like a Mesa Boogie oversized, could be also a Marshall, I'm not quite sure. Another 4x12, and it looks like maybe a flat angle, maybe, could be. And also a 2x12. And those together with the different mic combinations here gives you an endless tonal option. And you have also the normal dual cab IR loader here, which you can use any of the IRs that are included, blend them together with the A/B button here. You have a high pass, low pass, phase flip here, and also their first 3D cab emulation function down here, which you can use this slider to position the mic in either center of the cone or further away from the cone to the side, or the distance from the cone with this slider here. And down here you have an align button, where if you find that the phase flip still doesn't give you a correct phase, you can align them by moving them sample wise, all from 0 to 500 samples. And you have a basic level here as well. You can of course use your own IRs or load up third-party IRs in this dual cab loader as well. Let's keep it to the 3D cabs here and switch it back to the cab that I thought sounded the best, this one, and check out the next and final stage here and the settings. It's the FX part of the amp. And here you'll find a graphic EQ, chorus, a delay, and a reverb. The graphic EQ is pretty self-explanatory. It's after the amp and cab, and the chorus sounds like this. So that's the chorus, and the delay gives you a time knob here, a syncable switch. You can sync it to your session, feedback, width, and mix. So let's see how that sounds. Yeah, really nice. And the reverb gives you size, decay, tone, pre-delay, and mix. So let's see how that sounds. Yeah, so that's the FX section right there. Alright, so let's check out the low gain channel and the clean channel as well. I'm just going to switch it over here, turn some knobs, and see what tones we can get out of them basically. I'm going to use the booster and screamer off. For the clean channel, maybe I'll just add some delay and reverb and to get some more feel of how the clean channel will work. We'll just shake it out basically and turn some knobs. Really nice hard rock tones there. Love it. Switch over to the clean channel and see what we can get out of it. Alright, so lastly, let's check out the double tracking simulation, which I've mentioned in the beginning. I'm gonna add a bit of boosting here, crank the gain a bit, and use the tight switch so it sounds a bit cooler. Add some treble and see how it sounds. Alright, so I've dialed in a nice tight metal tone there. To get the simulation to work, you need to set your guitar track to stereo like this. And other than that, just open up the settings menu. And for this, I encourage you to have some nice, decent speakers or some headphones to really get an idea on how the simulation sounds. So let's check it out. Yeah, really cool way to jam by yourself and write some demos and just get a more feeling on how double track guitars would sound. Of course, if you want to use this in a mix, double track or quad track your guitars, it will sound a lot cooler. But if you want to just jam by yourself, as I said, or write some demos, it's a killer function to have. I've loaded up some drums here as well, so let's check out how it would sound together with some drums. So I've loaded up a drum beat here as well, so you can get a feeling on how it would sound with some drums on it. I'm gonna switch the simulation on and off, so keep your headphones on so you get a feeling on how it would sound to jam with some drums. So let's check it out. First, the simulation on and then turn it off. Yeah, really cool way to jam and maybe get some ideas for a song or just have fun basically. So check it out. Yeah, so with this amp sim where you have your 3 individual channels, switchable power tubes, pedal section, cab section with the virtual microphone placement, and the FX section, you get a complete package and a killer sounding amp sim, no matter if you use it for cleans all the way up to brutal high gain tones. So I urge you to check it out. Thank you so much for watching my demo of the Crown amp sim by AudioSalt. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below and I'll do my best to answer. Otherwise, you'll find all the information you need over at audiosalt.mx. And if you want to support me, please subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever I release a new video. Put a thumbs up to this one, it really matters to me. And until the next one, see you later.